brothers and sisters in the world. I decided to get on the bike today and just do a ride. Got some cloud cover. It's not too bad. You can see it via the video. It's been a while since I rode this bike and I need to cycle a battery, so figure might as well just do a video like I got back into doing some videos with the lawnmower. Alright, you guys, as usual, you know what this means. You guys are along with the ride, for the ride. You're along with me for the ride, and we're just going to talk it through. There'll be some times where I just enjoy the scenery, and there's times where I talk about scenarios with the bike and or the route and people around me. But we're going to head out to Lake Toho is a longer name, and I don't want to mess it up. It's an Indian name, but Toho is how we refer to it, and we're going to head out to that lake and see and just see what we see. There's a marina there, which is weird, right? In the center of the state of Florida, there's a lake with a marina. It's a pretty good sized marina. I'll show that to you guys, and then we'll head back home. It's about 18 miles and estimate about 30 minutes to get there. So we'll see, and let's see how it plays out. All right, guys. Let's do this. You guys know how I do it. This isn't the first ride you've done with me, but here we go. Just kind of get out the neighborhood, and we can kind of start to talk. Put on my visor, get some air flowing. All right. Like I said, it's a pretty good day to be riding. I want to exploit it. I know it's been a while. You guys can't even begin to go into my life. My life is always evolving and trying, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure you guys can sympathize with that truth in your own lives. But I'm here, I'm still alive, still breathing air, still standing upright. So if that has any value, great. You know what I mean? We got a full battery, estimated range about 111 miles. So we'll see where we're at return. I don't know if I'll be able to pan the camera down to see this screen appropriately for where I have it right now. I decided this time to just focus on optimal road view and scenery view, and I'll just translate to you guys the realities of the bike as we go. All right, let's talk a little bit about this Naxeon Pro. I don't remember what my last video contained pertaining to this bike, but I gotta say that it's not bad. I don't want to say it's perfect because it's not. I've had some issues that I've tried to reach out to support about, which pertain to the bike shutting down after prolonged high-speed runs. So let me explain that. If I get on the highway, which I have, and I run the bike at 70 miles an hour continuously, we run into scenarios where the bike was shut down for a overheat scenario, and it's not definitive why it shuts down. And first time it happened, it scared the living daylights out of me. But because it was night, and I was in the middle, well, not middle of nowhere, but I was like in a place where I couldn't rally help, you know, and so I kind of just systematically troubleshoot the bike to see if I can isolate what the problem was and if it was fixable before. I mean, I could call for a ride for myself, but the bike would have had to remain stranded until I can get AAA to come and retrieve it. But I decided to get in to the main breaker because the bike was off, and get into the main breaker to kind of see if I could power cycle it in some form or fashion to fix the issue. So upon getting into the seat, which was another challenge by itself because the power was off, and there's a mechanical method of releasing the seat, which is in the wheel well underneath the rear seat. However, it requires you to remove or dislodge a plastic cap. And I didn't have no tools with me, obviously, and doing it with your nail is almost impossible. So I I was like stranded. So what I ultimately did was like scavenge the roadside for trash, debris, something firm enough to be able to pry the cap off. And I found some kind of plastic shard, or whatever it was, by God's grace, and I was able to get the cap off, which was good. Um, you know what? Let's go the scenic way. Just cut through some of this Naxeon traffic. Again, for those that don't know, I'm in Central Florida, and sorry, just trying to do some adjustment while I'm at this light. So I'm in Central Florida and in the Naxeon area, and it's it can be bad here during the day. So it's around lunchtime now. What is it actually? 12:56, or 12 something, and so midday. So I'm gonna try to circumvent a large portion of it and take you guys through the North Shore of Gulf Coast community. So a little bit of sightseeing, if you will, and then we'll get back on Naxeon at a lower area, or lower. Farther along. We're just kind of diagonally cutting off a portion of Naxeon. That's all. I don't know that we're losing any mileage, any distance, just circumventing the traffic. So, back to this bike. So I was stranded, man. And so I found the shard pop. I was able to get the seat up. And upon inspection, I found that the circuit breaker was tripped. Okay. So no worries. I flicked it, got power back. Of course, I praised God because I was like panicking. And I was grateful that he got me out of that situation. So I got power back and I was able to get back on the road. And so got home, no further incidents. So I was cool, left it alone. I did submit a ticket. They asked you if you want remote diagnosis, and I was like, yeah, of course, that's no problem. Gave them the actual permission to lock into the bike. I gave them that, and it didn't go anywhere. You know what I mean? And so the bike was still functional. I kind of just left it alone. And once, after a few weeks, months, nothing back, it's just like, it kind of just fades away. No one says anything. It doesn't go anywhere. And then you end up finding yourself in a predicament again, and you resubmit the same ticket and you get no response in the same fashion. So, it's kind of like, okay, a perpetual cycle here. And this is how they function. So they do have a service center in Kissimmee. One day I'll have to try that ride. I'll have to reach out to them and make sure they can receive the bike. And then I'll try that ride, a full battery, and they'll have to charge me a full to get back. I can just use, I think for that scenario, I'll use the city roads just to make sure that I can conserve as much power as possible. But wait, at 100 to 112 miles, I'll make it to that service center. There's no question, you know what I mean? I believe it. And so they so it happened a couple times since the first time, and then something else happened where I got one night I was riding home and I got a hall sensor error, and the bike didn't shut down, but it wouldn't go. It wouldn't. There wasn't no power to the motor. But you can see the error that came up, and I think it said something about the hall sensor, and so that was obvious. But I'll go this way, and then on the way back, I'll take the other route that brings me to the left of this direction. So, and then you know what? I need to get into zigzag mode. yeah, let's just do this. I was in sail this whole time, but I was catching up with you guys, so I want to be in zigzag mode, full power, full capability, so this ride can be true to its nature, and we're not just feathering the power or massaging the power, so to speak. We want full power at our disposal at all time, and when necessary, we have the boost. So that one, it said something about a temperature overheat, blah, blah, blah. And it was at night. The bike was sitting at my friend's house for a while before I got back on it. It rode all the way to my friend's house. And then it sat. And then once I got back on it to head home, about 50% of the, 50% of the way, that occurred. And I was on local roads, wasn't even on the highway rather. And it, it shut down with that hall sensor issue, temperature issue. I'm like, okay, this is absolutely weird. So, like before, I didn't have that tool to get into this. Well, I couldn't get it. What did I do? I ultimately, no, I take that back. I didn't need the tool this time because I still had power. So I ultimately decided to just do a power cycle on it. And the initial power cycle didn't fix the problem, which was weird. It still had the sensor once it rebooted. And so I was like, okay, what am I going to do here? So I ultimately just waited a while, and then I tried it again, and it seemed to work. But it only worked for a short period of time. And I was like, okay, here we go. So anyway, I got the bike home, plugged it up, charged it up, left it alone for a while, and sometimes after, I don't know how long it was between that night and the next time I rode it, everything just seemed to be fine. It worked fine. It was in the day. I rode it hard, and I didn't have no issues with any of the following statements, whether it be the shutdown or the hall sensor temperature issue. I can't even say they were associated with an software upgrade, but it could have been, because I don't necessarily ride the bike after I get an upgrade on the bike. So I kind of I keep all my devices upgraded. That's what I do. I like to have the most current firmware in anything I have. Not to say that's a good thing, because sometimes we know upgrades or software upgrades come with issues, bugs. But, maybe it could have been related to something related to that, or it just could have been a fluke that night for whatever reason. I have no idea. But I need to really take the bike to get it over. I've had the bike for over a year, going on 2 years, and I need to be able to just have it get a once over by the service center, just to say, you know what, the bike is good, or the bike need this, or what have you. I myself don't do bike maintenance, so I need to go to those who do. So that's been the trials and tribulations with this bike. But other than that, and again, it hasn't been like a constant plaguing of my life, or bane in my existence. These are random circumstances that occur, and I've always been able to overcome in some way or another. So here we are now, deciding to go do this ride. We'll see how it is. I am taping it, so we'll see what it looks like once we complete the ride, and hopefully the camera holds up, because it's hot here in Florida, guys. I'm talking about, we're talking about upper 90s, and that's not counting the humidity, right? So, but you guys, if you know further, you know what time it is, right? So, but on the bike, it's not too bad. You know what my jacket look like. It's a lightweight jacket, but it has it's porous, right? So, you get a lot of air directly to your skin, and it's black though, so it keeps that heat, but it's thin, so it doesn't has much heat retention, but it works fine. And this one was hard to find on Amazon, and I like it because it was thin and it was lightweight, and it had all the armament of forearm, shoulders, and back plate. So, for that purpose, it met all the checks. So, but it's hot, trust me. And I'm sure if it was white, for those who's going to say you need to get a different color one, it's still not going to be that much different in terms of the humidity plus the heat, direct heat. So, but what's it, grin and bear. This is what we do. When you ride motorcycle, you better be acclimated to the different environmental climates, because that's the nature of riding a bike. You have to be exposed, and not only to traffic and to idiots and to morons, but also to the weather and the circumstances within. I popped the visor so I can get some more air into this helmet, so if the sound changed, that was the reason. But yep, here we are in Nakusi, so this is where the lights are abundant, and unless your timing is perfect and you can hit them in sequence, you have to stop at every one. And in a car with AC, it doesn't matter, but on a bike where you need the moving air to keep you cool, it does matter. But like I said, back to the Naxeon. Hey, for a local commuter, man, listen, I don't think there's anything out there that can beat it for both functionality, performance, and style. But I can't complain. You know, ultimately, the bike I want, I mentioned this to you guys once before, is it's a big money bike, and that's a Verge. But I can't justify buying a bike of that value, that cost, and not make it like a primary means of transportation, you know, or daily user, right? Because that's the price of a high-end car, man. You know what I mean? Granted, we know what kind of bike it is and what it does, and all it's capable of, but still, you know, I don't ride that much to be committed in that way. If it was my primary mode of transportation and I needed to be maxed out, fair enough. And my other means of transportation was like a hoopty, fair enough. Let's do it. I can justify buying a bike of that magnitude, but as you guys already know, I'm a Tesla owner, and that's my preference. And so I prefer my car when I need reliability and protection, right? So secondary, the bike, yeah, we'll have to wait until we can knock down that price. So right now, I'm hoping that I'm able to get the GPS reference on the screen so you can see what I'm doing. But I'm doing a stable 60 and not even pressuring the bike to do so. So it's very functional for local roads, and again for short distances on highways too. It's very functional as well. I notice it struggles a little bit when you have a headwind. And when I say struggle, I mean to get the top speed, you're gonna have to push it longer and more drain or on the battery, of course. So you kind of deplete that mileage. So since we left home, I should have put up the timer, but I mean the counter, right? But since we left home, we were at 100%, and we're at 89% now. Yeah, 89% with a range reference of 99 miles, estimated range of 99 miles. So we'll see. We'll see what this does by the time we get back. So left home at 100% with 112 on the estimated range, and right now we're 89% at 99 miles of estimated range. And since I'm not running a GPS, I don't know where we are. I can estimate. I think we're probably maybe a third of the way there, if I'm estimating correctly. Yeah, let's call it about a third of the way there. So, and this is stop and go. I haven't been cruising, so you know, with stop and go, you draw more on the takeoff, and it is an electric. But that's a functional statement pertaining to any mode of transportation, because even a car has to accelerate, which causes it to be less efficient. You know, with the stop and go scenarios, as we already know, that's the hindrance with city riding or city driving. So yep, here we go. said, we're supposed to get a little bit of thunderstorms this evening, but that's like playing Russian roulette. You know, you never know where they're gonna pop up and who's gonna benefit from them. You know, I wish it's me every day. I love storms, guys. I am obsessed with that. I love inclement weather. If you offer me a hurricane every year consistently, I'll take it. I know a whole bunch of you out there are just fussing at me right now because of that statement. But my fun fact, I used to talk to my mother about that, and she can't stand storms. And every time I bring that up to her, she gets I get on her nerve, you can tell, you know, because she rejects it or rebukes me for it. But I love storms, man. The bigger, the better, you know. But that's just me. I grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands with that was it at that time yearly consistency of hurricanes, you know, and they became fascinating to me. You know, I just love the splendor and the power of a hurricane. I know what they can do, yes, but you know, I don't fear that because I don't know when it's going to occur. So why fear something that you can't prevent? I know you can sit still in your house for your entire life. That doesn't secure your life. You know, it doesn't prevent that. That has to come, and it comes unexpectedly, and that's why we should always be ready for it. And you know what I mean when I say that. Not having a gun, not being protected, not having protection, but being protected by God, having His protection, His grace, His mercy, His love. With Him, we're safeguarded because even if we die, we go to a place that's better than here. That's my belief, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, so as you can see, we're solid in this ride, and bike is still performing well. We're in zigzag mode, which for you guys that don't know, the ride modes for the Naxeon is it starts with sail, then dynamic, and then zigzag. And there's another mode that you have to be walking the bike to as assist. I forgot what it's called, but anyway, you have to be off the bike and powering the bike at the same time, and it just gives you a slight power assist, so you don't have to push the weight of the bike. But when you're riding, like I said, there's sail, the dynamic, and zigzag. Zigzag gives you all of the power. And then when you need that extra boost, there's a trigger on your left hand that allows you to call for another 1 to 2 kilowatts of power, which gives you a boost for 30 seconds. And you can push through, you know, if you need that little additional oomph to get past a car or to get to a point. So, yeah, overall, cool bike, man. I think I'll stick with it until it fills me completely. But like I said, as hot as it is right now, when you're moving, you don't even really feel it. It feels good. And it just feels, I don't know, for you guys who do ride, I mean, if you don't ride, you won't know what I'm talking about. But, man, there's nothing like the freedom of being on a bike. I know it comes at a risk and a cost, but still, man, it's just an amazing feeling. And this is where I'm kind of indifferent with some of my friends that do ride. You know, they love making their bikes loud so everyone can hear them. In most cases, it's for safety, you know, because people don't pay attention to bikers, and most people don't even ride or drive pertaining to the rules of the road. You know, when you change lanes, you're supposed to signal. People just switch lane arbitrarily because they're lazy, right? And so imagine if they can't even push down on a little lever to switch lane. What makes you think they're going to take the time to turn their head and look and check their blind spot? Really? What makes you think they're going to do that? Right? So if you can't get them to even switch lanes properly by signaling, they're not going to take the time to look for you on a bike. So when I get on a bike, I become a very aggressive rider. I don't sit in nobody's blind spot. I keep a boundary of a safety. I keep a boundary around me, a safety boundary. That way I can control the variables. That means if I need to respond to something, I have the capacity to do so without hindrance, such as a vehicle on my left or right side or in front or behind me. That may hinder me from maneuvering to save myself. So let's talk a little bit about those videos that I'm posting along with these pertaining to autonomous lawnmower. And right now, I've done some videos in the past. I'm sure you guys have seen pertaining to the lawnmower. So now I'm doing some review on the Momotion Luba 3 AWD 3000. And I'm doing it because I want a solution. I want a solution so I don't have to be subjected to this Florida heat, man. I don't mind going out and doing the minimal, which is some trimming and edging, but when you have to cut the entire lawn, it takes a lot. Now, can I do it? Yeah. I don't have no qualms. I mean, I muscle through everything in my life, whether good or bad, but work smarter, not harder, right? So if I can buy a device that can accommodate the bulk of the work for me on a consistent schedule, which in my case, I run my mower every single day. Not completely because of me, because I mow my neighbor's lawn as well. So I have a schedule in place for him. So we alternate the days, odd even days, and the mower mows those days accordingly for the respective properties. But man, it's amazing to finally get a solution. This Momotion Luber has definitely meet the requirements to cut the lawns that we have. Unfortunately, builders nowadays are giving you less and less lots for these houses, right? Because they're trying to subdivide with more. The more houses they have, the more money they can make, obviously, right? So they're cutting back on these lots, or downsizing these lots, or shrinking these lots to accommodate more space for more houses. And so the houses are getting closer and closer together, which sucks, man. They absolutely suck. In Florida, I have 3 properties. And I can tell the oldest property I have was built in '96. And it's a cul-de-sac, and it's a wedge property. And it's a big house, but it has a lot of space relative to the size of the house. Then the other one is in Claremont, and again, it's not as big as the one in Kissimmee, but that house, again, lot size, it's appropriate for the house size. And then here we go in Lake Nona in Orlando, and man, you struggle to walk between the houses. I'm being a little facetious, right? But the space is very limited, and because of the nature of the original robot, which is a Yabo, it's a beast, man. That robot needs a lot of space to be able to function, and it just doesn't do well between the houses because it doesn't have the amount of sensors to facilitate it, even though it's supposed to be using this PPVS, system, which includes its ultrasonics, its vision, and it's what did I say? Ultrasonic, vision, and RTK, right? GPS. Even though it's supposed to be utilizing those systems, and they call it a fusion system, right? A fusion approach or grouping. It still doesn't do well in between the houses. I mean, it's heavily dependent on GPS. I noticed that. There's no autonomy without GPS on that robot. That robot would stubbornly stop, when GPS signal gets weak in between the houses, and it's telling you it's waiting on GPS signal. Well, if you got vision and you got ultrasonics, why are you waiting for GPS? And we know for a fact you're receiving the RTK signal. So why are you waiting for GPS? With all these additional systems, you can't make a dead reckoning solution. Something that says, you know what? I see a wall. My last position said I was here. I sense the wall. On my left, 2 feet. On my right, 8 feet. Come on. You know what I mean? Make a decision and project a path. But look, I can rant about this. And I was just thinking about that. Why are you ranting about autonomous mowers when you're riding, right? It's supposed to be a riding vlog, not a mowing vlog. But, I just wanted to kind of put it out there because if you're looking at my channel, you're going to see this variation of videos, right? And it's kind of like a fusion of videos there too, because largely the three things that I enjoy technically is motorcycles, like we're on, um, technology, whatever it may be. In this case, solar. It could be mowing, autonomous mowers, and then RCs. Right? I don't do much RCs video, but I am going to do one about a tugboat that I have. But I don't do a lot of RC videos just because when I go fly, and that's what I largely do is fly, it's, I focus on just flying, and it's hard to track an airplane. You know what I mean? It's unless you have a cameraman doing it for you, and I don't want to be bothered having someone videotape my flights. It'd probably be cool to do it, but I just don't want to be bothered. So I just stick with the subjects that that I can manage myself, which is the vlogs on the bike and the technology, whether it be solar, RCs, or RCs, mowers, and all the other technology that I can implement. I just saw that bike went on that. I don't even know if that's not even a bike path, but you're a motorcycle. He was a scooter. That's for bicycles, not for. I don't even know if it was a bike path. It's a little wide. It looked like it could be, but I'm sure you guys saw him fly by too. But man, you gotta play by the rules, guys. You know what I mean? When you break the rules, you subject yourself and others to incidents and to situations. This is not. This is just a shoulder. This is not a bike path. I don't know if they're planning to make it that way, but whatever, man. If it's, you gotta follow the rules. I know there's mitigating circumstances around certain exceptions, but look at it. This is the same kind of thing here to my right, and that's what he decided to pass vehicle. Suppose someone just decided to do the wrong thing. Want to throw some liquid out and open the door right at that moment. What can you say, right? What can you say? The car was in a stop condition. And if someone just opened the door because they want to empty out one of their bottles or something, some liquid on the ground, which is cool, and they have no reason to check their mirror on that side. That's a sidewalk side, right? There shouldn't be anything there. And it wasn't a label path for motorcycles or bicycles. It's never for motorcycles, but even for bikes, there wasn't no justification for that person to have to check that lane or to check that side of the car before opening the door in that way. And just taking that risk, you put yourself and others at risk, man, because now this person's car is damaged and you are hurt or dead, because you got pitched or catapulted from your motorcycle. I think I'm coming up on this guy too. Let me see what he's riding. Anyway, do the right thing, man. It pays out in the long run. Let's get on the throttle here a little bit. See if we can catch up with him. See the nature of the beast. Yeah, it looks like a scooter. But it's a petrol scooter. I don't even think it's electric. Let me see. Am I seeing an exhaust there or what? Let me see. Yeah, it might be electric. I don't see any exhaust, but they're always modifying these things. They're always modifying these things, so anything is possible. But okay, so look at that point. This is good. I just noticed this. This is good. Check this out. He passed me way back. I waited for the light, right? This is the exact point I'm making. I waited for the light. I waited for traffic to move. And where is he relative to me? We're in the same exact spot. So he took that risk, that unnecessary risk. For what? What did it gain and or save him? Nothing. So that's the difference. So now if he did get hurt or something did happen, it would have been all for what? For nothing, right? Because he didn't get no additional gain in his travels. He didn't, save the world or, whatever. He ended up nowhere, and it would have been all for naught. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, but it's all, but I'm just stating facts, guys, whether you, let me see. I can't tell. No, that's the live wire. That's what does it say? The Harley Davidson live wire. That's why it has not, that's what it is. So anyway, here we're coming up on Lake Tahoe. So you can see it's pretty cool. We're gonna go to the marina and just go around the parking lot, show you guys the marina, and then we're gonna head back. Yeah, I actually test rode that bike, and they're powerful. I know there's 3 variants, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're powerful, man. I remember doing that test ride, and I got on that bike, and I didn't know what to expect. But anyway, I rode it like I ride, and I got on that bike, and I got on a straightaway. And you have to follow, when you do the test ride, you have to follow one of the instructors, right? And they're pretty cool. They let you run the bike. They run their bike, so you get to keep up. But you have to keep up. But it was nice. And I remember when he made that turn onto that straightaway, and he took off, and I got on that throttle on that bike, man, and that front wheel just lift up with me. Now I'm gonna ride that. I was surprised it had that kind of torque, and it just pulled that front wheel, and that front wheel just climbing, and I'm a heavy dude, I'm pushing 350, 340, and so, I was impressed with it. But again, man, there we go with these pricing, the bike didn't have anything about it that other than the fact that it's realistic for normal riding. But I was really, look, I paid $5,000 for this bike, and I got what I paid for, right? It's a commuter. It's meant for local riding. It can't take me to Georgia, it can't take me to Jacksonville. It can, but you're gonna spend some time at some kind of a level 2 charger somewhere along the route, and good luck finding them or finding functional ones. You know what I mean? So that's the scenario. But anyway, I'm gonna pan this camera so you guys can see the beaches I'm passing. And now we're coming up on the pavilion here, and they have a little splash park for the kids. Let me pop in here before we go to the marina. And I think this is the restaurant, but I'll just go around this parking lot so you guys can see the splash park. And then, see, that's the splash park. It's access to the lake, but anyway, that's the splash park there. And then there's a little gazebo out on the peninsula here to the right. So it's a pretty cool area. If you're in Central Florida and you want to go someplace just to change up venues, give it a go. Like I said, you can come here and have a meal. I don't know what the name of the restaurant is, but I've never been to it myself. But 70. So there's a marina there to the right. And look at this, it's quite a bit of boats. We're going to cut in there and show you the boat ramp. These kids are asking me how fast does it go. Now watch this. So they're everybody's fascinated by the bike, It's a cool bike. But here's the boat ramps, and there's a marina there to the right. Yeah, don't ask me if that paddle boat actually works. I don't know. It's a museum. It says open. It might be a restaurant. It looks like a restaurant. Got some AC stuff there, but it's cool looking nonetheless, right? I would have gone down on that peninsula, but there's people walking, and I'm sure bikes and stuff not supposed authorized vehicles only. So there you go. Let's not break the rules. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and flip the script. Let me tell you. So we're here at the destination a little bit before we said we're going to go to the marina, but we're a little farther. And we're at 77% and 85 miles of range projected. So I told you guys what it was, 18 miles. So I did 18 miles and we're at 77%. Me running in zigzag mode, um, keeping up with traffic, average doing 50 to 60 miles an hour. Um, Not too bad, right? I mean, and still projected 85 miles of range. So I did 18 actual miles, and the project, we started at 112, right? So obviously, you have to count for energy consumption, energy loss, and anything electric, right? And well, that's for any vehicle. People don't realize that even when you have petrol vehicles, you still have inefficiencies, right? You still have power losses, you have fuel consumption. So it's energy loss on an electric bike, but on a fuel bike, you have fuel consumption, right? So certain things require more fuel, than others. So, I mean, more power than others. Certain scenarios, circumstances, such as they stop and go in the city riding or terrain, and believe it or not, rain hinders electric vehicles too. It's a drag on the tires, right? Your tires accumulate more load because of the water, and you push water, especially with heavy rain. You're pushing water on the roads, displacing water. So again, that creates drag resistance and causes you to again become more inefficient. Yeah. So we're going to head back and we're going to see what happens with the upon the return at home. All right, so we're currently 76, still at we're 84%, 84 projected range, projected miles range, and we'll see if we're on target upon the return home. And we're going to cover the same amount of distance. I'm just going to detour and take a back route so I don't have to deal with the Naxeon traffic. Almost the same place where I departed. I'm just coming from the opposite direction on the way here. You guys want to see? I don't know if I'm hoping I can cut to the right on this. I'm going to mark this spot, so I'm going to try to see if I can see the screen. But I'm going to do a boost and get it up to max speed for you. Well, I got to wait. There's a time and place for everything, but I'll identify right now at 30 miles an hour, and I don't know. It's a residential area, and I don't want to push my luck just in case somebody is doing a trap. You know what I mean? So, and besides, there's cars in front of me too. But I'll probably wait maybe at a street light on acceleration. I'll go ahead and hit the boost and show you guys what it does in terms of acceleration. Let's get it up to, let's say, from 0 to 60. So the comfort on this bike, right? It rides pretty smooth. It really does. The only thing is, man, this seat. I gotta go to a upholstery place and see if they can put like some memory foam. I mean, it's narrow, but if it was soft, it would be better, more enjoyable. But this thing is like, oh my goodness, it feels like it's just cutting through the center of your body. So you always have to readjust. But it's not comfortable. Trust me. For extended riding. So, I just rode 18 miles and I'm feeling it now, right? I gotta go 18 back. So, I have to, again, grin and bear. One more time, grin and bear. It's the sacrifices we make to enjoy our hobbies, right? So, The feature of, I don't know, I know I told you guys all about the feature of the bike, and I'll just go ahead and reiterate it again. So this bike has a radar on the rear of it that lets me know if anything is in my blind spot, left or right. And there's some halos um, on the handlebars just after the controls, and on both the left and right handlebar grip. Got a little bit of drizzle coming down, but there's nothing serious. It's a string of clouds above. But it allows for acceleration, so you can see your acceleration. Why that's necessary, I don't know. But it it also shows you when you have a car or when you have an obstacle, right? In this case, you have a vehicle in your blind spot. So it turns amber on the respective side that that the vehicle is in, which is so cool. It's a good reference, especially looking straight ahead. You can glance down and check your spot before even having to turn your head. But I recommend always turn your head. Always turn your head. I can't say it enough, man. Take no risk, take no chances when you're riding. It's not worth it. All right, let's hit that boost. We didn't do it from zero, but anyway, we got boost in, and we're going into a headwind. So we just hit 60. I'll try to do it again from zero. Actually, I don't even think the boost kicked in. It usually shows some descending arrows. I don't think the boost kicked in. I thought I hit it, but I think I hit the wrong one. So there's two index finger switches, one on the left and one on the right, and one is to flash your high beam, and the other is to engage your boost. I should know which is which, but I always feel way more comfortable hitting the one on the left, which is for your high beams. And it's even respectively on the side associated for what it needs, but it's a lot harder to get your index finger off of the throttle, right? To touch that switch, because it's literally a finger switch. And so anyway, we're doing currently about 60 miles an hour. Effortless, but yeah, so I always hit the one on the left because it's so accessible, because your left hand is just idle, it's just for stability, unless you're braking or indicating, and flashing or blowing your horn, whatever, the point is it's idle most of the time, but you're on the throttle with your right hand, and so because of the position of the switch, it's like the brakes and the switch is hard to get your finger over there to hit it. So naturally you default to the one that's more accessible. Anyway, it's there and it's on the appropriate side, but I didn't hit it. But that acceleration was a straight zigzag. So we'll wait for another stop and I'll hit it. The good thing about it is that you can hit it before you go. It's only going to be engaged for 30 seconds. So every second you don't move, you lose in boost time, right? But that's okay. I'll wait till the car, if I'm not leading the line, I'll wait for the car in front of me to start moving before I hit it, and then I'll accelerate. Or if I can find an open lane with space, but again, it doesn't really show the acceleration. I want you guys to see it from based on the time reference of the camera or of the video, so you can kind of extrapolate what that 0 to 60 looks like. But what time is it? 1:41, and unfortunately, time is traffic. This guy I don't know which way he's going. No signal. He's split in a lane. It's all over the place. Currently doing. I'm just reading this out just in case. I can't remember how to get. I know I have it selected. I just saw it the other day in the 360 camera that is supposed to record GPS information. So when I do my post editing, I can include it and put the indicators up to for the speed reference. But I can't remember if I needed to like start the video with the phone and do it through the phone, or the 360 just naturally do it based on GPS referencing. But I'll see once I download the video and see what if it's active. But that's why I keep giving you guys speed references, because I'm not sure if I'm gonna actually have the metadata to be able to have the screen. Have the speed reference on the screen. So I periodically tell you what I'm doing, so you can just kind of associate my physical movements to my speed, and you can draw a comparison. Even if I do put it up, you can draw a comparison to what the bike is actually showing me versus what is reflecting via GPS. So I'm doing 50, yeah, right at 50 right now. So this lane to the left is not moving fast. It's not even school, so. And the truck was going faster than them, but then he slowed down, and then they are just like camping. Guys, here we go, going into another rant. Yes, I'm gonna rant, because again, people in the US are the worst drivers in the world. I know some people will say, yeah, right, I've been places, and that might be true, but I've been places too. I've circumnavigate this world. I've been to every continent and not every country. Except for Antarctica, let's be real. But I'll tell you this, man, we're the worst drivers, and it's not because we have this inherent culture to the U.S. It's largely because we have people from everywhere in the world, and that makes sure they don't do well for order, right? And what I'm getting at is this. When you have multiple lanes, your right lane is your slow lane. That's supposed to be the lane in which you cruise at. If you need to pass, you move into the left lane and you pass. And then you return to the right lane once space is available, right? Well, they don't do that over here. I've seen it umpteen time. I should start a YouTube channel of improper driving, right? Because I capture these clips in my Tesla all the time. People will come, make a right turn into a 2-lane road, and go right to the left lane. Now, how did they get their driver's license? That's not what it is. You're supposed to turn into the lane, your immediate lane of travel, and then transition to the left lane if you need to, because you have to turn or you're passing, right? But they just turn into the left lane to camp, If I saw that they were a super speeder and they went into the left lane, they were passing everybody in the right lane, all right, you're doing your do. But that's not what they do. They go into the left lane and just drive either at normal speed or less than normal speed. They're not going faster than the speed limit. So you're a hindrance, right? You're preventing traffic from being efficient because you're holding it up because someone taught you that you should go into the left lane and a two-lane road immediately after making a turn. Who does that? And without signaling, you just like it's a diagonal. They don't like make the turn into the right lane and then immediately move over. No, they make the turn directly into the left lane. Dude, what's up, man? You know what I mean? What's up? It's incorrect, right? Do the right thing. That's all you got to do is do the right thing, right? You make the turn into your lane of the immediate lane of travel. Then you transition to the left lane. That's cool. But then don't transition into the left lane to go 30 miles per hour in a 40 miles per hour zone, man. Do the speed limit at a minimum, but if you're in that left lane, you better be going faster because you have reason to be over there. All right, now, in some cases, because there's certain areas here in the Lake Tohopekaliga area, you know that you're going to make a left turn in a couple hundred yards, so you get over there to be prepared to make your left turn. I get that. Don't get me wrong. But I've followed people, I've passed people, and I'm in the right lane. Oh man, this is a good place to do it, but I couldn't do it from zero. I've passed people in the right lane, just sitting in the left lane. They do the same thing on the toll roads, the highways. It's the same thing. People just sit in the left lane camping, man. In Europe, every state, every country I've been in Europe, you sit in the left lane, they're gonna flash you down. They don't really blow their horn at you, but they flash you down like they have lasers, man. It's crazy. And I get it. I remember being offended by it back in those days, but I know why. You know, you're violating the rules, and it's not because you're doing the right thing. You're hindering traffic. They have the right to pass, and you're preventing them from pass. And legally, they're not supposed to pass in the right lane. They're supposed to pass in the left lane, so they're following the rules. I give them credit on that because it just makes traffic more efficient. But here, if people would do that, we would be a lot better on the roads, you know what I mean? But they don't. They just, somehow more and more people are just sitting in the left lane versus, returning to the right lane. I can't even put it on elderly people or age because I see young and old both doing it, right? So it's frustrating because you get trapped, right? Because the guys in the right lane is going slow, the guy in the left lane is going slow. Now everybody got to go slow just because these yahoos are driving against the rules of the road. It's frustrating, man. When I'm out here, I want to get where I'm going, and I need to have a path in which to get there. I'm not in condoning speeding. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I have the right to get where I'm going. So if I can possibly get in front of you and do the speed limit or do 5 over the speed limit, then that's my prerogative, right? And I should be able to do that to keep the flow of traffic moving. But when you're clogging up the system, you're preventing that from happening, and now everybody is delayed just because you don't know how to drive properly, man. It's frustrating. So anyway, that's my rant, and I just hope that, people will be more conscious of it, and I don't know what the motive is, why people do it, and it could be complacency, or it could just be the way someone taught them how to drive because that's what they do. I don't know. But whatever their reason, they need to fix it because it's wrong. Legally, it's wrong. I'm not just saying this to benefit me. That's not the way. You do that in the driving test, you're going to fail. Straight up, you're going to fail. You don't have the right to go into a adjacent lane when you make a turn into the direction of travel. You have to go into the immediate lane. And that's what the rules require. But I'm saying, if you want to go into the left lane and haul butt, that's your prerogative. You get a ticket, it's on you. But haul butt, do it. But that's the place you're supposed to do it, right? And if you're hauling butt, you're not holding up traffic. So again, twofolds. So do, man. Do it right. That's all I'm asking for. So I can get where I'm going. It's still about me, right? I want to get where I'm going. Oh, guys, I tell you, man. It's too much. But anyway, we're doing 50, cruising. Is this my turn? Yeah, this is my turn. So we're going to make a turn right here. And I'm going to try to make a premature stop so I can do that boost run for you guys. Okay, this is nice and straight. I'm not going to stop because I don't want to pinch. So I got the boost on. Here we go, full throttle. All right, we're 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and I'm up straight, 60, 60. And I'm upright. I wasn't even fold over, so I had a lot of wind resistance. But I'm gonna see if I can pan the camera to be able to see that run. And that was with the boost. And you can feel the difference when boost is on. You know, I mean, it's still pretty good from, especially from a slow speed. You know, that you can feel the torque of the electric motor then, but when you're at speed, you know, it kind of it doesn't really translate well. I mean, anything above, like, let me see if I can feel the difference. So you can really feel the pull all the way up to like 50. Let me see if I come off at 50. No, you can still feel it at 50. I think probably more like up at 60. It's not as strong, obviously, but you can feel it definitely, right? Now it's not no Tesla, right? No net braking or no head slamming type pull, but you can feel the pull. I mean, you can feel it. It's a positive gain. Let's put it like that, right? So, all right. Battery check. And now keep in mind, I just did boost. I did some stuff, so we're at 59%, guys, with a projected range of 66 miles. So that's not me driving conservatively. That's me keeping up with traffic, actually surpassing traffic, doing 60 on a constant for the most part. And I'm hoping I'll be able to pan the camera to the right a little bit and see the screen, but it's hard to see the screen sometimes at certain angles. But if I don't, I hope I can put that metadata in on the screen so you can see it concurrent. But yeah, that's me riding, not conservatively. I'm moving, right? And I'm definitely moving for the purpose of staying cool. So we're pushing, and my accelerations aren't gentle either, hence why I'm zigzag. If I wanted slow acceleration, I'll do dynamic or sail preferably if I wanted to show efficiency. That way my wrist movement don't really translate to power. Because I like to feel the pull off of a slowdown. It just feels good. You know? It just feels nice. It's good enough, guys. It really is. It's good enough. And didn't know if you guys know that. What is this saying? Something is too high here. Wait, I want to actually see what this is. There's nothing behind me. Hold on. What's too high? Come on. Motor impedance. Motor temperature is too high. That's what it's saying. But it hasn't cut off on me. Okay, it just went off. And that was after, I think, I started riding again. It said it's too high, but it hasn't cut off. By God's grace. So now, again, it's hot here in Florida. I don't know that they made these associations when they were testing these bikes in China. I don't know where the factory. I mean, I should know now because I researched the heck out of this bike initially when I was contemplating purchasing it. But I don't know where the factory is off the top of my mind. But I know China has desert environment and they do get hot. They get heat. They do get heat, but they become hot. Their summers are hot. To what degree, I don't know. Humidity and all that stuff, I don't know. But again, when I'm not on the throttle, it went back to normal, right? But what I was saying before I saw that it was getting too hot, or that I had that, you know what? And it was also amber. It wasn't red. And I think that's what it is. When it's amber, it's a warning. When it's red, it's where it shuts down the bike. So, but it is hot here in Florida. I can't see my watch right now because my jacket is over it. But let me see if I can see what the current temperature is. But when I brake, I get regenerative braking, guys. So that's what I was wanting to say. Let me see. Yeah, it's 91. No, that's my pulse. Oh, I can't go. I gotta go. Let me see. I'll wait till the next stop. that was acceleration. There's a sheriff cop here, and I think they just put it there to check people's speed. But you see, that's one of the problems, right? When you just accelerate, and when you have that kind of torque, it just like gets you up to speed faster than you would expect. And before long, the speed limit here in this golfing community is 25 miles an hour. I always come to a complete stop, but sometimes I lose track of the actual speed. Because on a bike, you don't really feel it that way. You're just like, you're in it. You're in the zone, You're just one with the environment and with the ride. It's just an amazing feeling. Let me see if I can see what that temperature is. That's my heart rate. I think it is. Let me see. I'll stop at this stop sign. There's nothing behind me. So we're at 56% and 62 projected range. No, that's degrees. I was right. So it's saying about 91. And I can't really see the humidity, so. So cruising like this, I'm at 50 miles an hour, which is double the speed limit. But there's nothing in front of me, guys, and I do my own safety projection, you know what I mean? Calculated risk. And again, if there was kids around, if there was anything, this is a main road through a community. It's not in the community directly. It just cuts through the community. There's sidewalks on both sides. So again, calculated risk. If I saw there were people ahead, whether kids or adults, I would, restrict my activities, obviously. But you have to turn into gated communities from this primary road. So this just splits two communities in half. And you have to make gated entry so the community is not exposed. To the right, here's a school. Again, it's still a school zone, which the school isn't in session now, but so it's one of those things, calculated risk. And I'm only doing it to confirm realities for you guys, really. But never at the risk of myself or anyone else. You already know. All right, we're at 55%, and we have a projected of 60. All right, we're gonna do another, maybe, yeah, we're gonna do it. Boost. 40, 50, 60. All right. We didn't get the temperature on that one, so I don't know. But again, that's one of the inherent issues of motorcycles, even when there's a reciprocal engine. Reciprocating engine, right? When a bike is not up to speed, heat accumulates, right? And a lot of those bikes, I don't know about the current modern bikes, but in the past, I know bikes were shut down when there's traffic in the dead of summer, right? But when they're running and they can move, they're fine. And even with, as you know, bike that was liquid cool and still shut down when there's no air movement, because whether you know it or not, liquid cool is only as effective as the air going through the radiator for the return coolant, right? So it still matters. But anyway, we're about 1.5 miles from the house, and we're at 54%. And keep in mind, that's with us running on the faster end of the spectrum. It's also with us doing speed runs, boost 3 times already. Well, the first time wasn't legitimate. I hit the wrong button, so I did that. But we did go full throttle on that one, right? But 2 subsequent boost runs with full throttle, and so we're not bad. I mean, 18 and 18 is what, 36. So we did 36 miles round trip, or would have done 36 once I get to the house, with a projected of 58. But I'll run through these numbers once I get to the house. I'm just kind of giving you some preliminaries. And hopefully I can get some of this telemetry on the screen so you can see it and see the route, as I ride it. That would be so cool. I'm hoping I did it right. I just vaguely remember something about me having to connect to the phone or start the recording via my phone in order to get that information. So I'm not sure, right? But I'm hopeful that that's not the case. And if it's not the case, yeah, right on, we're good. You guys will be able to see the telemetry as I ride, which will be cool. All right, guys. So the only negative on this trip, on this ride, was the seat. I could feel it, and I really need to go someplace and see if they can swap the material that the factory has in here. Why wouldn't they put some memory foam or some gel material that can ease this pain? When you have a $1.15 Chinese man with a narrow behind sitting on this narrow seat, it's not as detrimental as a 240-pound black man, right? With height and girth. I'm 6'4", right? So it's a whole different feeling, So it's but it's bearable, right? You just have to do some shifting and some maneuvering, and even sometimes some standing up, like we did back in the days, just to get the blood flowing to that to the lower extremities, This bike has autopilot. I mean, autopilot. I say I'm such a Tesla fanboy, right? This bike has cruise control. And that's a quick story. I took my buddy just got surprised with a R1, and his wife asked me to hold the bike for her for his birthday. He didn't know he was getting it, and so I picked up the bike, held it at my house, and then the day of I rode